Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It is Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan here for an Inside the Birds presented by our friends at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. It is the exclusive Jersey Shore resort of Inside the Birds. That's right. Jersey Shore Resort makes you think of summer. Now, we didn't have a great weekend here in the Del Valle, a lot of rain. It was not summer-like, but the week before was. And as Adam, we get closer to the summer and we get the June, July, August, we start talking about things like OTAs and
Yeah.
training camps. So in this, obviously this episode people have waited for because we finally get to talk about the final rookie free agent signings. There was a rookie camp at NovaCare over the weekend, and we rocket right into the offseason.
Yeah, rookie camp, nothing really happens. It's just
Of course.
the veterans can't be there, so there's no news to report. The only time we ever talk about the rookie camp is if someone showed up out of shape. We'll talk about it. We're happy to. If something doesn't look right, there's an
We're
injury.
happy to.
Yeah, yeah. No. Or if someone is so good, it's like when we've talked about Mailata in the rookie camp.
Yeah.
We know he didn't know what he was doing, but we were so blown away with his size and just that. Who knew? But that was really cool. Like that was one of the rare times you get something out of rookie minicamp. Then look, there was actually crazy transaction. LaRaven Clark went on IR, and we'll explain what that means at this time of the year. It's not good.
Yeah.
But no, the rookie camp, there's really nothing. It's as Nick Sirianni, I thought, did a good job of explaining why you're they're not swimming at all because they're not giving them anything. He goes, the one thing you can see though, and it relates to what we just said about Mailata, is the athleticism of these players.
Right. Athleticism, practice habits. You see if they're, are they out there giving their best and, do they have an idea of what's going on? Right. Exactly. Andrew DeCecco's been going down at the NovaCare. He was down there for the media availability. Wrote a really nice story on the website about Johnny Wilson. That was the receiver we talked about in the last podcast. 6'6", out of Florida State. And as he said, Adam, in the presser, he's being looked at as a wide receiver. There was a whole lot of talk about, does he have to switch to tight end? Is he too tall for wide receiver? Does he have enough speed and all? But right now, the Eagles are looking at him as a wide receiver, inside,
Yeah,
outside wide receiver.
yeah, we said that during a show. We were told
Yep.
he was going to be a receiver here. Now, other teams did tell us that they weren't so sure, though he runs well for his size. He's actually just under 6'7". I'll give you the combine measurement. I think it was like 6'6" and 3 quick. Yeah, wow, 6'6" and 3/8,
Yep.
231. His arm, I mean, the arm length is crazy. I mean, he's got left. You love a left tackle to have this kind of arm length. 35 and 3/8.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
pretty unique. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the type of attributes that get people really like thinking about the what if. He's got a long way to go, like most guys drafted on day 3, but we'll see. Because there's certainly, you think red zone, you think certain patterns that he would be able to just out muscle, out advantage, out leverage, right? Smaller cornerback. So we'll see what they're able to do with him. But good story by Andrew DeCecco about him on the website. Andrew also wrote a really interesting story. We know about his Draft Dreams series that he did leading up to the draft, where I think it was 13 of them with small college prospects. So he's going to have a story up. It might be up now for our listeners, where he updates where every single one of them landed up. The first one he did, Adam, Sean Stevens, was a cornerback who wound up with a rookie camp tryout with the Philadelphia Eagles. He ran a 4.2 something when he was at Ferris State.
Wow. Yeah. And then, by the way, that'll get you to a rookie minicamp. There have been some incredible stories over the years with other clubs. Remember Cameron Brate, I'm assuming he's retired. He didn't play last year. Former tight end for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Signed up for a lot of money. What happened was the Buccaneers were down a tight end from the rookie minicamp, so he was invited because they didn't have enough bodies. And who knew? He not only made the club, okay, he became their starting tight end for several years. So that's an incredible rookie minicamp story.
Yes, it
By the
is.
way, he was with the Vikings right before that, and they didn't want him. They didn't offer him a contract. And he did so well that you have to offer a player if you want them to go forward with you, then have to offer them a contract. If it was a tryout, I think Brate was actually a tryout in Bucks. And then he signed a contract, and the rest is history. So you never look. It's rare for an undrafted free agent to go to rookie minicamp. Not unprecedented, but it is rare. But every once in a while, you've got a story. Now, T.J. Edwards is offered a contract. He actually signed one after the draft. But a rookie minicamp tryout
Tryout,
and
right?
to actually make it, man, that is you just don't see it.
Didn't Rick Spielman tell us that what was it a tryout that got Adam Thielen? He had like kind of, as he told us, right? He popped up on the radar from certain analytics and being in the backyard there. I
That
don't
was
remember if they signed him or if it was a tryout. It might have been a tryout.
I'm going to ask him. That's a great question because yeah, You're right because Rick said that we were like, well, wait a minute, why wasn't he drafted? He was in your own area, and you and I had asked him about the analytics stuff and how much that plays in the draft because it really plays into our undrafted group because they identify by certain metrics. Okay, this guy deserves to be in a camp, and then he becomes one of the NFL's best receivers over a series of years. I mean, how does a guy in their own backyard not get drafted at
Yeah,
Mankato
Minnesota
State?
State Mankato.
Mankato, yeah, Mankato
Mankato,
State,
right?
yeah, which is, by the way, where their training camp used to be for several years.
Right, right.
So now they have it at their own complex, which is like Alabama's an incredible complex. But anyway, as we move on here, the Eagles only had 7 undrafted free agents. We'll break them down. We've got a pretty good breakdown from the people we spoke to around the league who know
Mhm.
these players pretty well.
Yeah, I just looked it up really quickly. It was an invite to their 3-day rookie camp
That's
for
embarrassing.
him. So what an
Wasn't even
incredible
trip.
story.
Wasn't even. But here's the thing: 32 teams didn't think enough of him to even sign him after the draft. That's
Right.
incredible.
Yeah,
How does it
unbelievable.
happen?
So
Wow.
it's always good. So we'll see. We'll see if any of the
Mhm.
Eagles who were there for tryouts can buck the trend and be the next Adam Thielen. Speaking of for our Patreon platform, people were loving our interview with Coach Parker, not Christian Parker. It's the Toledo cornerbacks coach, Corey Parker, who was the coach for Quinyon Mitchell the last 2 years at Toledo. Gave us a lot of great insight. Wonderful interview. Very excitable guy. He was really happy to talk about Quinyon's rise to being the Eagles' first round pick, and our Patreon members, they really loved it. We did the live stream last week. Adam's going to do his Discord chat with the Patreon community Thursday night.
Yeah, at 8 p.m. Eastern via Discord, and we're going to have more draft intel for you, exclusive stuff that you won't find anywhere. As anyone who knows, we put a lot of stuff out just for Patreon before the draft. We did during free agency where we're giving play-by-play what we were hearing. It's pretty cool. And we want to welcome new subscribers to new patrons, as they say, to Patreon. Daryl, Ken, and Sam. Join us at patreon.com/inside the birds and get into the community because everybody seems to be getting to know each other. It's pretty cool.
It is cool. It's a great time. I really love our members. They're great people, and the discourse is fantastic. All right, we hinted at it, and I wanted to talk to you about it because I knew that this could not be a good situation. LaRaven Clark, who has been with the Eagles on and off here for a couple of years, veteran, started his career, I believe, with the Colts, offensive tackle, or is it the Ravens or Colts? Either way, he came here with a prior stop in Indianapolis. He is now on injured reserve in the offseason. He's been placed on the IR list, correct, Adam? That's how it
Yes.
works.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
he can't play this for them this season. This time of year, if you go on an IR, you can't play for them unless they reach an injury settlement at some point later down the road, and then there's injury settlement, so he has to be gone off the Eagles roster. He could sign with someone else, but he can't play for the Eagles till a certain amount of time. We don't even know what the injury is. I was kind of surprised when I saw this because maybe he got hurt on his own. I don't know. We're going to look into it to see what exactly happened, but nevertheless, yeah. So when you look at their depth now, and he was certainly part of it. They re-signed him, gave him some guaranteed money, about 125,000. The backups, the veteran backups now are Fred Johnson, who was the backup left tackle last year. Mekhi Becton, who right now could play right tackle and left tackle. He may be cross-trained, as you noted last week. And Matt Hennessy. Now, do they have enough depth? Possibly, but this doesn't help. You would rather not have this happen. By the way, LaRaven Clark, he doesn't have a lot of experience at guard, but he has played guard before.
He has. When someone gets hurt in the off season and it's out of the complex, right? Let's say a guy gets into a motorcycle accident and you know he's going to be out for a long time. Usually you're placed on NFI, correct?
Correct. Yes,
So
yes, and he's
him
not.
getting placed on IR, I wonder if that leaves on the possibility, like maybe he hurt himself lifting while at the Eagles
Right.
complex, right? Because
Right.
everything about the label of it being IR suggests it happened doing a football activity, and the only football activities you can do if you're a veteran at this point, as you just said, it's not like he could have been in the rookie tryout camp there, right? Or I'm sorry, the rookie camp. So perhaps inside the complex doing something, and we'll, like you said, will hurt. I don't like to speculate, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
draw an important distinction about why when you've seen a lot of offseason injuries, like they usually go on NFI because it's away from football.
Yes.
So this is a little bit different in that regard.
Yeah, the only way you can go on NFI is if you get hurt away from the complex.
Right.
And teams will do it. It's kind of subjective. Look, if you're away, but let's say you were doing everything the right way and the club feels like that's the case, they may put him on IR. But when the player's lifting away and they can't verify what exactly he was doing, sometimes they put him on NFI. It just depends. But anyway,
Mhm.
bottom line is he's on the IR. So yeah, that's a loss. I mean, again, they did give him a decent guarantee. It was just over a $1 million contract. So that is that. Now they're down to 3 veterans on the backups on the offensive line.
There you go. It does make that Mekhi Becton signing, really more pertinent now. And again, Mekhi Becton is a tackle. They're going to look at him at times at guard. I think some of the aggregators had a little bit of took some liberties with some things we
Of
said
course.
last week. It's not they're just trying him only at guard, and then if it doesn't work, he's going to work at both spots as we understand it.
Yeah, and he's started at right tackle. He's mostly been left, and he's missed a ton of time. The real money, by the way, is 2.5 million of what's been reported. The upside is the 5.5 million.
Mhm.
The guarantee in his contract is 2 million. There's per game roster bonuses, which you would expect for Becton. So he's certainly no guarantee to make the team, but man, if he's in shape and his leg holds up, he's had problems with his knees and his weight. But I know last year I was told he lost over 40 pounds, and he took his weight seriously. It got through to him. He played in almost all their games. So let's see what happens.
All right, let's take a dive into the Eagles' undrafted rookie class. Before we do that, we're going to hear a word from our friends at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The first thing that jumps out, Adam, about this rookie, this may be the smallest class of undrafted rookies in Eagles history, right? 7 players.
Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe someone knows better than I don't remember. Howie did say that. He said I think he actually gave the number out of 7, and it's the same 7 that we had heard, but we were not going to comment on it until they were actually signed. Too many times stuff's been reported and the guy backs out and goes to another team. I was so frustrated with that. I told you 3 years ago, we're never doing this again. We're not going to do anything until they're signed.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
it's not necessary to,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's funny because I think I remember a time where they signed like 5 defensive tackles alone a couple of years ago, and this is just seven total players. So let's go through the players on offense first. Adam, tell me the names and some of the
All
things
right.
that you know.
Kendall Milton's a running back, a power back from Georgia. He was at the combine. He's a straight ahead power runner, not shifty. Look, he's the kind of guy he'll have a hard time making it unless if everybody's healthy. It's hard to imagine he'll be on the team. But he played for Georgia. They know that program well. He's a big dude, 6'1.5", 225. Did not run well at all at the combine. 4.62 is going to get you undrafted at running back, but he's got some ability. And again, they know this program. And you notice this. They got size at receiver. You got your guy Lou Nichols here has got size. Ty Davis Price has size. So does Kendall Milton. So there you go.
So when you talk about a guy from a big program who has size, maybe not as much speed or juice, it sort of who was the guy they had from Oklahoma a couple of years ago that never really
Kennedy Brooks.
Brooks, yeah. Yeah. It feels like this is the new Kennedy Brooks here. But
You know what's funny? Right. You know what's funny about Kendall Milton is that if you didn't know if we didn't talk to people just about what his style is,
mm-hmm.
you look at his yards per carry, right? On 297 carries, 1,839 yards, 6.2 yards per carry. It just shows you college football, how deceiving the numbers can be.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't run anywhere close to 6.2 yards per carry. He's a grinder.
Right.
So we'll see what happens here. But hey, he's a developmental running back between Barkley, Gainwell, Shipley. and Ty Davis Price, they probably will keep 4 back. Certainly won't keep 5 again.
Mhm.
Unless somebody's hurt. I mean, you're not going to keep 5. There would have to be a special reason. So it's going to be hard for him to make the team. But hey, let's see what happens in training camp if he gets there.
Well, we will see. All right, and then a couple of offensive tackles who are here.
Yeah. This kid, his name's Anim Dankwa. He is long. He was from Howard University. He was invited to the combine.
Mm-hmm.
This to me is a typical, hey, traits guy. Wait till you see the man. I have his. I'm gonna look it up right now. He is 6'7" and 3/4.
Oh my Lord.
353. Obviously has to get in better shape. That's from what I understand, they just needs to get in the Eagles weight room. But he's a massive human being. 35 and 1/8 arms, and wingspan 85.5. Wow. He did bench 24. But this guy's your perfect developmental left tackle. We'll see if they cross train him. We'll look for this. This is a guy I'm looking forward to seeing. See if there's anything there, man. If he could somehow be on their practice squad, because if you don't make the team, you have to be waived first.
Mm-hmm.
And just to develop these traits. Obviously, it depends on if you know how it works. As we saw this with Tanner McKee, if his preseason tape's really good, he ain't getting through waivers. That forces them to keep the player, like they did with Tanner McKee. They weren't going to expose him. But man, you can't teach traits, and he's got them.
It's sort of the positional value that teams have or should have at offensive tackle make it almost surprising to me that a team didn't just use a 7th rounder on a guy like this. Like that kind of position with traits and size and measurements like that. I mean, you got a 7th round pick. Come on. We'll see. I agree with you. He's one to watch, and if he even looks the part a little bit in the preseason, then you got to get into protection mode there.
I look forward to seeing him in OTAs. I so love seeing this stuff because you don't know what to expect. It was like with Mailata, well, there was no taste because he never played football before. So, and you see this kid, I mean, 6'7", 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, the next guy's an international player, which shouldn't be surprise anybody that the Eagles went the international route. You know, there's no Matt Leo on the team anymore, so
it's true.
Fine. Yeah,
is he still with the coaching staff?
Isn't he? Is it coaching staff or front office? He had a sort of a blurry role that I wasn't sure about.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he had some job with their staff, but so they sign as an international player, so he doesn't count against their 90-man roster.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy never played football, Lakin Vakalahi. He was found, as I suspected, by Chris Naoli. We mentioned this a couple of months ago. He was hired by the Eagles over a year ago to be their international scout. This had a lot to do with Mailata, obviously, from Australia. Mm-hmm. This kid's from Australia, I believe. He only played rugby and basketball. Check his. There's a good story on ESPN.com about him, his background, but this is just another one. Shot in the dark. He's not the athlete that Jordan is, but you know what? You never know. And they'll take him. They'll take him to OTAs. Again, he's an international player, so you're not worrying about what he looks like. 6'6". I think he's around 6'5". Over 300 pounds. Should be a tackle. We'll see what it looks like. And knowing Stout now. Here's the thing, because he doesn't know anything about football. He's got to learn how to play football and the hand usage and all that. This is a total project, like a super project. But hey, Eagles have some experience with this.
I love this little pipeline developing of Australian players to the Eagles. Right, it started off with the punters. We had Sav Roca and we had Cam Johnson, right, and then Cam Johnson, Mailata, right, and now here we go with another one. It's a little Australian pipeline going on. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a really cool story. We'll see where it goes.
Yep.
And then after that, they kept the kid Gottlieb. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's going to be a guard for them out of Maryland.
Yeah, I think it's Aidzi. I hope.
Sounds good.
Gottlieb Aidzi. Go ahead.
So he's a guy that is a good and play guard. They could use a developmental guard. They've lost 3 offensive linemen this offseason. Over 6'4", built like a guard. We'll see if he can get. We haven't got his contract yet, but I know some of these guys got a decent guarantee. Mm-hmm. We'll see if he can get to OTAs and training camp and so forth. And then that kid is a decent athlete. McCallan Castles was a tight end. He's a little bit older. He's 24. he played at Tennessee for one season. He also played at Cal Davis and Cal Berkeley before that. They really need to kind of figure out long term what this tight end position behind Goddard's going to look like. And Dallas is older now. He turns 30 in January. Where's the time gone here? Calcaterra hasn't done much in the first 2 years. Alberto didn't do anything for them, but they wanted to bring him back. CJ Uzama's on a 1-year deal. Tungai's been on and off the roster for several years. So Castles is in there. EJ Jenkins. These are all just deep backups. So it's kind of, why not take him in here, see what he can do.
Yeah, getting back to that guard from Maryland, Adam Gottlieb Adjidzi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Do you know? And Andrew Checo wrote about him maybe a couple of weeks ago, because Andrew went to Maryland's pro day.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This kid didn't start playing football until he was a senior. He's from
Germantown,
Maryland. What's that? Senior in high school. Yeah, I'm sorry, senior in high school.
Okay.
Yet he was still invited to the scouting combine, so that was pretty impressive.
Wow.
Really good athlete. And if you guys remember, or maybe people didn't see this, but Andrew wrote about it. Jeff Stoutland led the workouts at Maryland for the offensive linemen. So he was there. There was another guy who got drafted named Delmar DJ Glaze. I forget what team drafted him, but Stoutland was paying some attention to him. So, but both of these guys, just big athletes, a little bit of project, but a lot of upside there. And you can see this in being the common thread, right? The Eagles are looking at athleticism, they're looking at size, they're looking at measurables, and they're saying, we got a good coach here who knows how to deal with that. He obviously did it with Jordan Mailata, and we'll see. But I mean, when an offensive lineman, doesn't start playing until his senior year of high school,
wow.
I think that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
6'4" and 1/8 at the combine, 308, 33-inch arms for a guard is not bad.
Yeah.
You certainly can't play tackle with that length, but the wingspan is actually really good. 80 and 5/8, hands 9 and 7/8, bench 21. Did run a 5:01.40, which is not bad for a guard at all. You'll take that. Not that you're right about an offensive lineman running downfield, but yeah, again, it's about finding these developmental players, and Eagles are terrific at it. You saw Nate Herbig, by the way, was an undrafted free agent. The Eagles have a history. Suapeta, by the way, is a really good story, who signed a free agent deal with the Bucks. So here we go. Once again, we'll see if these guys could push for a role.
All right, so those are the offensive undrafted rookie signings. We'll get into the defensive ones in a second. First, we want to remind you guys, we used to be talking about our friends at Game Time. They're back with us. It's such a great app for getting tickets. And right now, I mean, it's such a great sports time right now. And even though the Sixers are no longer in the playoffs, and that was an excellent series against the Knicks. I mean, it was heartbreaking, but it was an excellent series. I would have loved to have been able to get some tickets and drown out some of those, those New York fans. The price was going up, but hey, the cool thing about Game Time, as we always tell you, the Game Time app, right? The closer you get to kickoff, the price goes down. That's one of the great benefits of using the Game Time tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Game Time app, I told you, they go down as you get closer to tip off. So with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Now, listen, Adam, you might be this type of person. I know some of our listeners are. Nobody wants the Celtics to be in the NBA Finals, right? I don't know anybody wants the Knicks either.
I hate them. I hate them. Absolutely hate them.
Hate the Celtics. I can't stand the Celtics. It might be worth it, right?
I won't say what my nickname. I won't say what my nickname is for them.
No, I want to know. Is it like when we're?
It's foul. It's foul.
Okay.
Yeah, it's foul. Yeah, I hate everything about them. I hate the green. I hate Danny Ainge. I was a Bird fan. I hate Danny Ainge. ML Carr, for those of you over 50, I absolutely despise him with the damn towel. You have to grow up here to Jerry Seasting, for those of you again over 50, was annoying. They're just their fans are annoying. I hate them. Anyway, go ahead.
I was going to say, if it winds up being the Celtics and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and if you're, maybe you just want to buy a ticket to heckle both teams. I mean, that's something I could see a Sixer fan saying, yeah, I'm going to go up to Madison Square Garden and heckle both of those teams, or go up to Boston. You can do that using the Game Time app. You can pick out any specific game or matchup you want to attend. You can find the best deal. I mean, it's so easy. We've talked about this before. Two taps on your Game Time app, and you're there, and you can get great deals. We've talked about the zone deals, where you let Game Time pick the seat and the row for the best price available. We've talked. Oh, and by the way, there's the last minute tickets and the flash deals as well. And there's so many different options on the Game Time app, and it doesn't have to just be for the NBA. If you're tired of that and you want to switch to Phillies, who are white hot right now, you can get MLB tickets of any kind in our area. All right, you can. And remember, the big thing is, and I think this is big with ballparks more than anything, is the view from your seat. It'll show you the view that you are getting. All right. So you can save up to 60% off by buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater. There's flash deals, zone deals, all in pricing, the seat views we mentioned, the lowest price guarantee. If you don't get the lowest price, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. All right. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code BIRDS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem using BIRDS, BIRDS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's talk about these two defensive players, Adam, that the Eagles signed. One of them, you and I have both heard, has some potential. They can get this guy. If they can tap into this guy, he's got some potential.
Gabe Hall is a D-tack out of Baylor who has been a chronic underachiever. Should have been, he really should, even with all that, he should have been drafted. I don't know what I'm not. We have a lot of information on him. I can't say exactly what the reason was, other than he should be way better than he had been.
Yep.
Tape shows that he needs to give better effort and so forth. But this dude is gifted. This guy's talented. They need D tackles. There's no question. Eagles have no proven depth. They don't have any. Their depth is not played very much. So this kid has got a chance here. And the new D-line coach is phenomenal. So I look, I like this signing, man. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of surprised they got beat out on him, because he could play 5-10. The Eagles play in this scheme, in the real. We were talking to someone who knows this scheme well, the real Fangio scheme, the one that Vic really runs. And this Hall, because he wants guys who are long, who are going to play with their hand down, and Gabe Hall will be one of those guys.
Yeah, heard the same. Certainly has the ability to play in the NFL. Every once in a while, I think you probably come across this too. There are prospects who, when you talk to personnel people, there's a disconnect and they can't quite figure out where it is and why it is, right? They see they watch the tape and they see that the talent is there. They get background info on the kid, and usually, sometimes it'll come back that he's fine. He's a good kid, nothing wrong. Or maybe sometimes you just want to motivate him more. But that's the thing. Like, there are, every once in a while, you get these prospects that there's a disconnect, and it's worth taking a gamble on, especially as an undrafted free agent, because if the light ever comes on and stays on, you've got yourself a really good deal for the next 3 years.
Yeah. So the Eagles will play a little bit of 9 technique. They'll have one of their ends out wide a little bit. Gabe Hall, this is these measurables out of Baylor: 6'6", 292, and this is where it's insane. 34.5-inch arms.
Wow.
It's crazy. 83 5/8, and it's all about, why is it important? Because you could disperse the offensive lineman first before he gets into you if your arms are longer. It's that 1/100th of a second that your arm will get there before the lineman will be, if your arms are longer than his. That's what we've been told. I asked that question recently. So look, again, chronic underachiever. Let's see if Clint Hurt could get it out of him. If this guy can't, the guy can't play, because Clint Hurt's phenomenal.
Yeah. I would add to that, when you have that type of height and that type of wingspan as an interior D lineman, you can make it very difficult on quarterbacks to see across the middle. You get your hands up, you get your arms up, you narrow lanes that way. So, and that's an easily coachable trait, or not trait, a technique to do. Safety, Adam, out of LSU, Andre Sam. What do we know about Andre Sam?
Yeah, he wants to LSU as an undrafted free agent. He'll have a chance to push. Now, when you look at their safety position, we're going to break this down in a couple of minutes, but there is room for someone to certainly be on the practice squad. Look, we know Gardner Johnson, Blankenship, and DeJean when he plays safety, and Sidney Brown coming off the ACL. Tristan McCullum was with them last year. and Mekhi Gardner's played some safety. There is absolutely an opening for someone to shock the world at a safety position and move someone either off the team, or
Mhm.
he does so well that you go, you know what, this guy's got good measurables in terms of not measurables in height. I mean, he's only just under 5'11", but the tape shows the intensity of which he plays with. And he's a pretty sharp guy from what we understand. He just doesn't have the athletic stuff that tested all that well, so he wasn't drafted. So let's see. Let's just see what happens. They use some back end safeties, man. There's no question about it. They need them.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are the 7 rookie free agents. If you were to, demand that I pick one to make the 53, because we know one usually makes it, sometimes more, but at least one usually makes it. I probably go right. I'd probably say Gabe Hall because he feels like more pro ready
Mhm.
than anyone. But as you mentioned, if you get any kind of promise out of the offensive tackle or offensive guard, then maybe there too, because there's always room for offensive linemen to make the 53 and be protected. All right, let's get we're going to finish this off. Last podcast we did what the Eagles still need left on offense after draft and after most of free agency. Now we're going to pivot and finish it up with what the Eagles still need left on defense after the draft. So let's start up front as we usually do, Adam. Defensive line, defensive end. What do you see them needing still?
Yeah, need ends because in Fangio, like, remember Draymond Jones was great for him with Denver. They're going to play with, you got to have guys who can play with their hand down and not
Mhm.
just be tackles. You need guys with length. Milt Williams is tall, but he's not doesn't have the long arms that you look for, but he's terrific. Obviously been a great story. They just don't have any depth. I mean, it's Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. With Fletcher Cox's retirement, there are no veteran backups. Gabe Hall, we just talked about, still has to prove himself. Thomas Booker hasn't played. Ujomo barely played. Mustapher hasn't really played much. And Tui Pelotu, we've talked about for 3 years now how much they like him. He's been a healthy and active. He's played some. He's had some injuries. You can't go into the season with it. They really need 2 guys, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
So if Williams, Davis, or Carter gets hurt, they're in major trouble.
This is
If anybody's
probably
played.
yeah, this is probably the thinnest the Eagles have been up front in quite a while. And again, I'm not discounting. Maybe Moro Jomo makes a really nice step up. Maybe finally with more snaps, Marlon Tuipulotu gives you a little bit more. But I mean, this is all just me saying maybe, right? I mean, right now, especially on the inside, or you even said if you look at like Josh Sweat, okay, if he gets hurt,
Play with
Nolan
his hand
Smith is
down.
in.
Yeah,
What's
of
that?
course. Yep.
Yeah, but and Nolan Smith still has to show he's going to make a year too. And what really
Yeah.
surprises me, again, I feel like I said this the last 2 years, and I'm
Mhm.
saying it again. And Noah Ellis has been waived, right? They really don't have someone to play the Jordan Davis zero, right, head up over the center, who's built like Jordan Davis. I mean, not a lot of people are built like Jordan Davis, but you know what I mean, like a
Sure.
true
Yep.
nose tackle who's like 6 something, 320, 330, 340 something. And I guess they don't prioritize that in the reserve tank.
Well, again, we're only in early May. The season doesn't start till September.
Fair.
But there's no way they're going in with this group. I mean, they have to have someone who's played. And it's one thing if a Jomo was a third rounder and he showed a lot as a rookie, which he didn't. He was a 7th rounder, barely played. Tui Pelotu was a 6th rounder who we talked about 2 years ago. And Greg Cosell said like he had a little bit of pass rush, but he's not really a true nose. I just don't see it. I mean, they need help here. And the good thing is, if you're looking at the veteran free agent group, there's still plenty of D tackles. Quite frankly, they need 2 of them. I know they want to look at the young kids in training camp. That's fine, but for the season, when it really counts, when you got to play, you need some D tackles, and there are guys out there. I mean, they're guys who can absolutely do it. Mike Purcell, who played for Vic Fangio in Denver, is a guy who's out there. I'm
How
looking at
about
my list.
isn't Kentavious Street now back to being a free agent? Right, he had signed a 1-year deal. They traded
Yeah.
him to Atlanta, right? I mean, he's a free agent again, right?
Let me see if he resigned with them. I don't think he
Oh,
did.
that's a good point. He may have resigned, but I don't remember
He
seeing
did.
it.
He did resign with them.
Okay, all right. All right, so he re-signed with the Falcons. Yeah, but that's the kind of player that they should be looking at, a veteran defensive tackle. Yeah, I thought Contavious Street gave him some decent snaps before they decided to trade him.
Calais Campbell's out there who could absolutely play. And you could line him up
I love Calais
on,
Campbell.
if you're playing your 3 down, 2 up, if you're playing that 5-man, it's really a 34, but it gives you the look of a 5-0 because of the 2 overhangs. We're playing right up there. Al Woods could play in this defense. He has before. I mentioned Mike Purcell played for Denver. There's some guys out there. Hassan Ridgeway, by the way, who's been hurt a lot, but the Eagles know him. Obviously, he's been here before. So there's some. I'm looking at my list here. There's some lower end free agents they could look at. Again, we're only in early May. They don't have to do anything until training camp, but eventually they're going to have to add guys for the season. You want to be a Super Bowl team, you got to have a rotation. And right now, I just don't see how they're going to have a rotation with this group right now.
By the way, I meant to ask you this, and I could have Googled it myself, but I haven't. Did Mike Dana ever sign?
Mike Dana, yeah. Mike Dana resigned. He did not get the deal he was looking for. He did resign with Kansas City.
Wow. Chiefs got a steal there to be.
He did.
Yeah.
He was looking for way more than he was getting, but hey, nope, couldn't get it.
Okay. Yeah, interesting market there. All right, so again, Eagles thin up front compared to what they know. I mean, they're still very talented, but just thinner than we say, and maybe a little bit more question marks as opposed to, what you're getting from Fletcher Cox, what you were getting from Hassan Reddick. Now you're saying, hey, you hope Nolan Smith makes that jump. You hope Jordan Davis finally gets right, and that Jalen Carter should be fine as long as he keeps his head straight, because his talent was absolutely there and showcased for us last year.
I'm just gonna have this. Gonna have this with Clint Hurt. I can't, whatever, like the trying to freelance a little bit like some of the guys did last year. I don't see that happening with this guy. I don't see I just don't see it happening. He commands respect. We talk to people close to the Seahawks who just love the guy. Look, you had a coaching change. They didn't bring him back as the D coordinator. That's okay. The guy's a really good coach. He's proven. I've talked to people who work with him. Jordan Davis, this is it to me. This season will ultimately determine next year if they pick up his 5th-year option. That's kind of where we're at here. He's got to do it. This is. We'll see what kind of shape he's in. They're always talking about he's got himself in better shape, but it didn't work last year when he did. He faded after a phenomenal start. So. And then Jalen Carter was freelancing. He was just trying to. The way we heard it from other teams was this: you'd see him flash when he started fading down the stretch. He was trying to make the splash plays, and you got to just do it like you're coached, and he's got to do that.
There you go. By the way, how many defensive line rooms do you think are led by a coach who's bigger than all of his defensive linemen? Are the Eagles the only one, maybe?
I'd have to look that up.
Guy is huge, man. Do you remember the Bengals when they were coached by Marvin Lewis had a D-line coach whose name escapes me, but he was huge. I can't remember his name. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
All right. Okay. I can't remember. He had to be
Frank Pollock was their offensive line coach. I know that.
Who was that?
Frank Pollock was their line coach who played in the league for the Niners and other teams.
Right. Was he enormous? Was he like 6'6", 6'7"?
Frank's, yeah, but man, why am I drawing a blank who the D-line coach was? I don't remember. Anyway.
Okay. Maybe I might have been confusing with the offense. I just remember the guy was huge, but either way. All right, we're going to get into the defensive backfield too and talk about what's left. Before we do that, we're going to hear a word from our friends at Sky Motor Cars.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people all over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schiller, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
And if you hop into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal. All right, Adam. A lot of corners, a lot of names at corner, so there's a lot of competition there. Safety, though, you can argue, even though they could use body, this is probably their deepest core of safety in quite a while. I'm going to include Sidney Brown once he's healthy, right? If you talk about Cooper DeJean as a safety, Sidney Brown as a safety, CJ Gardner-Johnson brought back in safety. Reed Blankenship now, when everyone's healthy, is in the area he belongs in that 3rd-4 range. And so I'm not saying they're deep compared to other teams, but for the Eagles, they've got some depth there, got some bodies.
Yeah, they do. They have bodies, but Gardner Johnson's got a significant injury history. He's a terrific player. Blankenship's had his injuries. He re-signed to just kind of a high-end backup money. Brown's coming off a major knee injury. You don't know about him, and unfortunately, he got hurt at the point where he's making really good progress. We were told he really started getting the defense, and now he's coming back from this injury. We mentioned Andre Salmon, by the way, only played 2 years of D1 football. A transfer from Marshall in 22 to LSU in 23. Didn't run well at the combine, 4.59, which is obviously not going to get you drafted. But he is there, and he's, from what we understand, a pretty smart kid. So we'll see what happens there. And Tristan McCullum has got the athletic measurables, but was not drafted. By the way, he's just under 6'3".
Yeah.
So we'll see. But there's an opportunity here again. It's not. You got questions. Gardner Johnson staying healthy, but he's terrific. Where are they going to play DeJean? We'll be looking into that. I know he told the media in his interview that they were lining him up in a bunch of places, but again, it's rookie camp, doesn't really mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll mean something when the veteran's there. Then you're going to get your answer. You'll get a real good answer. Now, you won't know everything, but you start to get a clue. So yeah, do they have enough there? It's certainly, as you said, I agree with you. It's a lot better than it has been in terms of depth, and it's not just depth. Well, I should say this way: the guys they brought in, it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. Edmonds it just didn't work out. He got traded. The guy kept getting hurt. Who's the guy?
Justin Evans.
Yeah, who was on teams but didn't play for 3 years due to injury. So we'll see what happens here. But there's also much better upside with this group.
I agree. If there were to bring in a guy, I don't have a specific name, but you know how in 2017 they brought in Corey Graham, who had played both nickel and safety, and gave him that kind of versatility, that hybrid. That's the kind of guy, if I could see them bringing in now, someone who can play, but maybe a former safety who can still play nickel a little bit, like a free safety nickel type guy, to help them there. I mean, I know they have a lot of bodies at nickel too, but you're just looking for a veteran at that point, on someone who can give you some versatility.
Well, there are a ton of them out there. If you thought D tackles, I mean, there are like 10 veteran safeties, obviously led by Justin Simmons, who hasn't got the deal that he wants. There's Micah Hyde who's out there. Condre Diggs was cut by the Seahawks. J-Ron Kearse is more of a matchup safety, covers tight ends a lot, tall safety in the NFL, 6'4". Deshaun Gibson is really good. I know the Niners wanted him back at some point, but he's still out there. Eddie Jackson, of course, played for Vic, but he's near the end of his career. A lot of injuries.
Right.
Kareem Jackson hasn't retired. Adrian Amos is there. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
That's a good list. That's a deep list. Any one of those guys can come in and be a
Yeah.
veteran backup for you. Yeah,
There are like
absolutely.
6 more guys. Yeah, there's so again, any team would have leverage right now. So yeah, you're right. It would not surprise us at all by training camp, which is really what you want, that they bring someone in. That's a good point about Corey Graham, because man, he was a former corner that moved to safety later in his career and did a good job and made good money from Buffalo. And Eagles have a history, as you said, of bringing these guys in, whether it's corner or safety, to help them for a playoff run.
Justin Simmons still out there, huh?
Yeah, it's
amazing.
He hasn't got that contract that he was looking for and wanted one more payday. Well, obviously, it wasn't going to be the highest paid safety anymore, but he has a history with Vic, good football player, got length, and I know he's in his 30s, but I never say never with him, because is he better than Blankenship? Yes. C.J. Brown's coming back from an ACL, and hey, if he's still available at training camp, how in the world do you not call Todd France's agent and say,
yeah,
let's? And they've done a lot of deals with Todd over the years. I think he had Fletcher Cox and several Eagles. B. West, by the way, many years ago.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I think at that point, that's the Simmons strategy, is wait for that call from a desperate, and look, CJ Gardner-Johnson, great player, but he could go down for 6 weeks in training camp and all. Who do you think the first call the Eagles are making to?
Better be right.
You know what I'm saying? So they know. Yeah. Todd France knows. All right. Good stuff. We've wrapped it up there with offense and defense over the last 2 podcasts and what are the remaining needs. That is going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the birds. Be sure to check out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you check them out at PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter at PHLSportsNation.